Good afternoon, Atlanta. Welcome to Veteran Today, WCEG Network and WCEG Talk Radio. I'm Herman Anderson, one of the co-hosts. My other two co-hosts are taking care of personal needs today. So I have with me Reverend McGee, and he brought along his special person.
Yes, good afternoon. This is Reverend Elson McGee, President of Vietnam Veterans of America and Chairman of Concerns Black Clergy Veteran Affairs Committee. Thank you, Herman, for having us. And my special assistant is Regina White, a veteran.
Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here.
Well, great, and we just go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about mental health, homelessness, claims, and current events throughout this show. So we're going to start off with the one that, if you in Georgia, got everybody's attention, and that is mental health and suicide. And Reverend McGee just left David Scott's
annual job fair.
And he had a discussion about it. So let's get started.
Well, actually, Herman, we had 2 suicides in Georgia within the last week. One was at the Atlanta VA, and the other one was at Dublin. Now, the guy that committed suicide at Atlanta, well, they haven't released any names as I know of yet, but the age of 68 made him a Vietnam-era veteran, and that should be a concern to every veteran, no matter what era they're in. But we are at a point in the veteran community where we at a stalemate as to what can we do to prevent our brothers and sisters from committing suicide. Now, I don't know, but I was fortunate enough to be at David Scott's annual job fair and got a chance to talk with the congressman. And he is very concerned about it and agreed with me that we need to have a veterans conference to deal with this issue, making up all the VSOs. We actually had an opportunity to talk with DAV representatives, and we will be contacting American Legions, AMVEX, and all the rest of the guys so that we can talk about having a conference where this can be an open conversation. Now, one of the things that I know personally, that the bedside manners of VA employees when you are coming to the VA for services is not encouraging. And I think that's one of the first things we need to look at, because from what information we got, the young man that committed suicide at VA went in the building. He had to talk with somebody. And we don't know whether that person that he talked with was the person that turned him off to stop him from seeking services. But he was at the VA. Went in the VA, came out, and shot himself. So we need a conference.
We do, and as you know, we talk about all the time, the culture of the VA need to be changed from top to bottom.
Absolutely. One of the things that we know, you know that I'm a former VA employee, and so is Regina. Actually, I hired Regina when I was working at VA, and she was one of my clerks. And she would tell you right now that we had this understanding among our staff that, you know, if you didn't want to serve the veteran that day, you can go home. You could take a sick leave. You could leave. You know, and I know that wasn't a remedy to the problem, but we need to have supervisors and employees retrained in a way that they can talk to people with mental issues.
Well, that is true. And before we move on, let me let you know this is the Worldwide Community Group. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, call in and join the conversation at 678-619-1402. You can also watch us on YouTube at WCEG Radio, and also on Infinity at WCEG Network Radio. You can follow us on Instagram at WCEG-talk-talk. So there's a lot of ways that you can communicate with us, and we are looking to hear from you, and we are also on Facebook.
You know, Herman, one of the things that I would like for veterans to consider and to think about this now, when we was in the military, we had each other's back. In the community, we are somewhat isolated. So these veteran service organizations, they need to have these, when they have meetings, like your meeting. I love coming to your meeting because there's a lot of camaraderie and a lot of discussions about veterans among veterans, which I think leads to us getting more benefits and having a better station in the community where we can have somebody to talk to when we're having problems.
Well, that's one thing I emphasize. It's communication and it's networking, and it's like, so veterans, helping veterans, you feel comfortable because all of us been through that at different phases and different times. And I think to me, that's a good thing. And what you're doing with the ministers, veteran, I think that should be upgraded to become more important.
Well, like what I'm doing with Concerned Black Clergy of Atlanta, I chair their Veteran Affairs Committee. Now, this organization represents 125 churches or more in the city of Atlanta. And what we're doing is asking the pastors to start setting up a concern for their veterans in those ministries by having the pastor actually come out and talk with his veterans every Sunday about, how they're doing, are they getting their benefits, and if they're not, to have them, if they don't do anything else, have them sign up and register in e-benefits, which is the way VA is doing business with us.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we're going to move on. And that is true. And one thing that, several things that happened this week, and one thing is I was involved in, am a member of AARP Veterans Group, and I had an article published this week in the state AARP bulletin. And I'm not going to read the entire article, but the article addressed mental health, caregiving, homeless, veteran service officers, and claim veteran service claim. And this is an opportunity. This is an organization that has resources and funds that are interested in helping veterans.
Okay, so, Herman, you raised an interesting conversation because, both you and I was down at the governor's mansion a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
At what was in my mind was a perfect opportunity for the governor to get a chance to talk about listen to hear about the plight of veterans in the state of Georgia. We know that was National Vietnam Veterans Day. And we only had an opportunity just to take pictures with the governor, but I hope he's listening, and I hope some of his staff is listening to this program today, because we need more sensitivity out of the state governments for veterans issues as well. This is not just a national problem. We are a national entity, but we live locally. So we want to make sure that the governor understands that he need to make sure that the Department of Veteran Affairs is given the resources that they need. They got an outstanding commissioner there with Pete Roby,
right.
Mike Roby, I'm sorry, with Mike Roby, but he need resources. I've been to one of their training centers, even though they got offices throughout the state. A lot of people in the state don't even know where their offices are. So I have gotten maps of the locations. Oh, okay. Maps of locations of where his offices are located, and we need to make sure that people understand that the state of Georgia has a department set up to help veterans get their benefits from VA. Now we need to make sure that they know where these offices are.
Well, that's true, and that's a point I looked at an article today in a VFW magazine, and this guy is a veteran service officer in Iowa. But the point is, monetary victory helps a veteran eliminate some of these other problems. Mm-hmm. And so with the Georgia Department of Veteran Services and with the amount of offices they have throughout the state, which in my opinion, they're underused because of the state hasn't made them aware of them, and it's probably our organization need to do a better job also.
Well, I'm going to say this. I had the opportunity to attend one of their training sessions, and I'm appalled that they have individuals working to help veterans that they're not getting paid right. You know, they're not getting the kind of a paycheck on Fridays that's encouraging enough for them to be thinking about veterans. So this is why I'm appealing to the governor to make sure that he's giving Mike Roby and the Georgia Department of Veteran Services a bigger budget.
Well, I actually had a situation yesterday for someone called me. They had been to Georgia Department of Veteran Service officer, and the person that serves them was someone that just got discharged, and that person had no interest in helping this veteran, and that's your point. They're underpaid, and so their attitude about helping even veterans, they are veterans also, but they're
not trained either.
Right. So, but that is important.
Yeah. The other part of this is this. You spoke about people just being released and putting on jobs. Well, there's a need. You know, we talk about suicides. Now, we had a guy that used the police to commit suicide in a bank here in Georgia within the last year.
Yeah, in Cobb County.
And his whole complaint was about the VA. He staged his issue, went in the bank to get attention to his inability to get help from VA. The Georgia Department of Veteran Services have offices all over the state of Georgia. They need to make sure that these officers are trained with the same kind of concern for veterans that we have. In terms of veterans go to the VA or go to one of these service officers with their complaints about services, usually seeking benefits, but they're also seeking care. You know, the benefits come good, but if you're not getting the care that you need when you get your benefits, you still might go commit suicide.
Well, that's true. And this morning I had someone call me about being a caregiver. They are the caregiver of their aunt, and they've been in backlog now for 6 months. And it was a guy, and his aunt is the veteran that the person that he's taking care of, and he was. I'm gonna call him back later today, but he was in a pretty desperate situation and asking for some help. Yeah,
and we got to make sure. I'm talking to us as Veteran Service Organization. I represent Vietnam Veterans of America. You represent Veterans Helping Veterans, and I know what we do. We are constantly trying to make sure that we're concerned with the veteran and his issues. And we're getting a lot of veterans that don't know how to file claims. You know, the caregiver claim is one of them. And then the process, if you're not filing through e-benefits, is slow. So we need to kind of talk with these veteran service organizations to get the capacity to make sure that they're able to file the claims that veterans need filed when they show up, because that's a rough fact when you got these urgencies and you don't have anybody that can really help you.
That leads to stress and mental health.
Yeah.
And back to the claim issue, what we are doing is training claim officers to not only input the claim, but claim process and claim management. I mean, like you say, once you submit the claim, there are things as you need to know to manage it. It's going to be in the e-benefits. There's no doubt about it.
Yes.
In the process you go through, caregiving, aid and attendance, and there are other services that will hopefully help keep some of the stress down if you are able to get the claim through the system.
Well, now, you kind of raised my subject. I'm happy to announce that Veterans Helping Veterans and Vietnam Veterans of America has teamed up to produce some more national service officers in the state of Georgia. And that's kind of exciting, because what we are doing in the claim clinic is exactly what you're teaching people how not only to get their benefits, but to manage their claims from the beginning to the end. Now, one of the other issues that have come up lately in the process that concerns me is the fiduciary, the Columbia Fiduciary Hub. This is a company that I've gotten, I think, two claims through within the last 2 months, and both of them was headed to the fiduciary Columbia hub. Now, what is that? The fiduciary is a person. Now, by law, the first person that could be the fiduciary is a family member.
Right.
But if the family member is not able to manage, to manage these benefits, this company would take it over. Now you're talking about millions of dollars, I remember, because both of the people that I got in the claims through for, one of them got $120,000 back pay pending. The other one got $70,000 back pay pending the assignment of a fiduciary. They don't even pay them until they get a fiduciary. So we're talking about millions of dollars being managed by a company that just got set up here in the last few years to help privatize our benefits.
See, that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with, you always deal with, they want to change the rules in the middle of the game. The process was a certain way, and all of a sudden they're really sneaky about it also.
Yeah.
They don't announce it, but when you let's have a situation like you had, that's when they spring it on you. Mm-hmm. And other people still don't know about it.
They don't know about it.
And another point is, if you a veteran and you in the system, and this is information you need to process it, because you might have issues with your family members, and whatever. I'm not gonna go into that, but you need to realize if you don't trust someone in your family, and if you whatever else, then you're gonna end up in the situation you were talking about. And
it's a business.
And I was just recently, a claim was put in my name for me to have a fiduciary to oversee my benefits. I had no idea where it came from. My doctor had no idea where it came from, and I had to go through a whole lot of red tape. And Mr. McGee assisted me on getting through this whole process. And when I went down to the regional office, I was one of the veterans that was treated like I was crazy. I was treated really badly, but I made it through it. I was about to run out of the regional office because they even though they didn't have an answer for me, I didn't know where this came from. They treated me like I was actually crazy.
Like you were
I was the problem. Yeah. The problem. So, but we got it taken care of. But this came out of nowhere. It was a claim placed into my records some kind of way. And right now we're in the process of trying to find out where it came
So at this point, you don't know who did it?
I have no idea who did it. And I am totally competent. They sent me a letter telling me I am incompetent and that I needed a fiduciary to oversee my benefits. And if I didn't have one by a certain amount of time, they would issue me one.
I mean, not only does it make you angry, it's scary.
It's scary.
Because they can go into anybody's record and do that.
Well, now that is illegal. Now, I want to say that VA law does not permit that to occur that way. Now, usually the fiduciary consideration comes about when the veteran has a disability that, like Alzheimer or something, that would inhibit them from managing their affairs. But recently, this has become a regular issue with veterans getting the 100%. See, because what happens there, usually is a large sum of back pay. And if they got that back pay, you can't spend it. They can put it in a investment account. They can do whatever they want with your money. So we have to be concerned in the community about veterans' benefits.
See, and say they stall for 6 months or a year, they're making interest off of your money.
Yes, absolutely.
So we got a real concern with having the churches step in, because when family can't do it, traditionally the churches have been an extended family for many people that's in the church. So we are asking the churches now to get involved with veterans benefits, because whether they know it or not, whether they realize it or not, the VA is the third largest budget item in the federal government, meaning there are only two other departments in front of VA. That's the Pentagon and the U.S. military, the Department of Defense.
Right.
So you're talking about over $200 billion a year. And if they're allowed to privatize this stuff, we going to be further behind than we are now by not being registered in the e-benefits. So it is an alarming situation that we need to really have a discussion about veteran benefits in the churches.
Well, that's true. And just to go down a little bit, is in the churches and in certain communities, is that the veterans within churches and within certain areas of Metro Atlanta, whatever, are a resource that I would say we as veterans are not
appreciated.
We're not appreciated, and we need to push harder to get veterans that are not in the system. Those that say that I can give you 10 reasons why they don't want to file a claim. Mm-hmm. I mean, they just sitting there giving away opportunities.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, we need to find a way to get to a lot of veterans, even a lot of veterans that aren't in the church, mm-hmm. because I know a lot of veterans that aren't in the church, and they don't get their benefits, and they don't even put in for claims because they feel like, oh, I don't need that, and what they don't realize is that they do need it.
Well, they say they don't need it. Some of them need it, but they have this
pride.
This attitude.
Pride. You got to remember, we're spit and shine now. And when we can't spit and shine no more, we get ashamed of it because, we used to stand in front of people inspecting us to make sure that we got it together, so we come out with all that pride. Well, we need to drop the pride. We need to drop the pride because these benefits were meant for the veteran, his family, and the community. Now, when the veteran is incompetent, and I'm saying you're incompetent if you allow yourself to become homeless, and your benefits are there, and you're not able to use them because you're in a homeless program that the VA is paying out millions of dollars to keep you homeless. We need to make sure that the church and the family understand this dynamics that's taking place with the VA. I stopped going to stand down because as a former VA employee at one time, I had to go to stand down because I had to participate in it. But after observing stand down for years, I started seeing some of the same veterans every year. Right. It was like a merry-go-round, and the VA was funding it. I said, no, I can't participate in this because I'm thinking if you are in a homeless program, they're trying to keep you homeless now.
Well, see, that's I have a friend. You might know Rosalind Schooners.
Yes.
She does homeless prevention, and that's a hot button. Is that if you go through the program, and if you don't train the veteran or equip the veteran to transition and pay rent and do whatever you need to do, it's just a revolving door.
It's a revolving door. And we need to speak on that. We can't just go say, well, I'm going out here to help the homeless veterans, and you're going out there to enable the providers to keep the veterans homeless because they get paid for it.
That's an issue too. Is that, as they say, there are quite a few people that are making money off veterans.
Yeah.
And not helping them.
I heard Ronald Reagan say something like that to Jesse Jackson one time. So you're doing pretty good off of people doing pretty bad.
That's a good quote.
We need to understand that there are a lot of people now. Veterans should be a staple in our community. We have one of the best benefit packages on paper that you could ever think about. Just think about what the veteran benefit package look like. A home without any money down. So why we got homeless veterans, right?
I think it's because they'll give a homeless veteran a place to live, but they don't give them the tools that they need in order to sustain a place to live.
See, I think that's part of the requirements of certifying people to take care of homeless veterans. If someone just want to have a room in the house or have an apartment complex and put the veteran there and the VA pay the bill, in my opinion, they shouldn't be certified, because if you can't do other things to help the veteran, you're doing what you said.
Yeah, they living off the back of homeless veterans, and we have to be like with the suicide issue. We have to speak out for our sisters and brothers that are unable to speak out for themselves. I often tell my grandson, and I hope you listen, Freeman, and all you young men and women that's currently in our U.S. military, we know what the military code of conduct say. You can't talk back. We can talk back for you. We got your back.
Well, that's true. And David Scott job program, I mean, that's good. If you are a young veteran and you getting out, whether you spent 2 or 3 years or you 20 years and you transition, you still got time to have a career and take advantage of the VA program, buy a house, and don't let your credit get in trouble. See, that's when you get to be our age and you got all this baggage, it's hard to deal with.
It's hard to deal with. So one of the other things, Herman, we're launching what we call our Holistic Wellness Club here in July this year with a community marketplace. One of the things that I've watched over the years, I've been a service officer working with veterans since 1975. And most of my career with that has been to help veterans get their benefits. When we talk about money, income, we get the claims through the process. But, recently I started looking at, especially our generation, some of my clients were dying before they got their benefits.
That's true.
And I looked at another issue that's happening with a lot of the veterans that's on the medications that the VA is prescribing for us. That helps expedite our departure from the VA pay scale, really. Because we are looking at making sure that veterans start living holistically with their illnesses. In other words, turning to the way you eat, some of the supplements that you need to keep your body healthy. So we're looking out for veterans. We want veterans to start looking out for themselves, and that's what our Holistic Wellness Club will be. We are talking about different holistic treatments, different holistic medications that don't have the same side effects that the VA medication has, so that we can have a better quality of life. So if anybody interested in becoming members of our Holistic Wellness Club, they can contact me at 770-895-3260. 770-895-3260. We'll make you have a better quality of life.
And another thing, if you are in the system at the VA, My Healthy Vet is health information that you can use also. I mean, as being part of your club, and it talks about exercise, talks about diet, and
yes,
and it's also it's electronic. It's like if you are in e-benefits or My Healthy Vet or VA.gov, you actually can go from one to the next, one to the next, and that's good.
Mm-hmm. Now, see, this is another issue, and we've been talking about this, and we're still waiting on the government to give us these computers. What I'm finding in the city of Atlanta, that we have a lot of veterans that don't have computer access. So we're working on a project now. As soon as the government answers us to get these computers, we're gonna make sure that every veteran that is seeking benefits at VA got a computer. Now, this is a long scale project because we live in the city of Atlanta and the surrounding cities, and we just got a lot of veterans and a lot of households without internet access.
Well, that's true, and that's a project for my organization also, is to get the computers and also have training to train the veteran to use the computer. And the next thing is you have to deal with the providers to make sure that they have access once they are not at, say, a location that has a hotspot.
Yeah, so they can get online.
Right.
Well, they got some programs already in place that we can probably augment for that. You know, if you're getting SNAP, for instance, you know they got to reduce internet service
Yes,
for
$10 a month.
$10 a month.
So AT&T?
Yeah, with all of them, really, with every
all of them.
every
Okay.
provider, and we need to start talking with these providers to see whether we can get disabled veterans that benefit.
Yeah, I mean the providers and also untapped resource is AARP. I mean
Yeah,
they can get you even a cell phone at a
Discounted price?
yes, very low.
I didn't know that.
yeah,
Yeah, very
very low. Yeah,
So check.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes. That's what we're about is
Information.
information, entitlements and benefits that you have and you don't know about them.
Yeah.
So we're out here to tell you about them.
Now, Herman, let's talk about the caregivers stuff a little bit because, see, one of the things that irks me, we got a lot of 100% veterans in our community, and their families family been taking care of them ever since they became disabled, still taking care of them, and they're not getting the health care providers benefits. That can be up to $1,700 a month more income for that veterans to make sure that he's getting better care. What can we do in terms of? I mean, we're doing it in the clinic, but we can't go out and get families and tell them, listen, you got this 100% veteran that you're taking care of every day. You got some benefits for taking care of.
Well, I mean, like I said, I've gotten 2 calls this week in that situation. And one thing is, I guess, is what Anthony does at his church is have information sessions.
Information seminars.
But that's not enough.
That's not
I mean, both of these people, I mean, they're stressed to the max because they're taking care of our disabled veteran, and they're not receiving the aid and attendants or the caretakers into that information.
Enter that information.
I got a question about who qualifies for a caregiver. Is it only 100% veterans, or is it any veteran?
Well, no, you have to. The caregiver is for disabled veterans. Now, that veteran can be disabled by military service, or he could be just disabled and on pension. See, there's a discrepancy in how much money you get for the pension program and how much you get for the compensation program. But it's more than they're getting. And that's what we got to be concerned with. Some of them are not getting anything.
Right.
Right, and it's a disabled veteran, whether it's a husband or a wife. Even in one case, it's an aunt that has and the nephew has been given the right to take care of
The guardians.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyone that's in charge of taking care of a veteran, it could be the wife, it could be an aunt, or it could be someone that they sign over as their fiduciary.
Okay.
And that's really
Does it take away from that veteran's
That's in
compensation?
addition. That's in
It's an
addition to.
it's addition to.
Okay.
And it's really like you say,
It can be up to 7.
because of our generation, we all are getting old and having issues. It's really a big issue.
And it's and your spouse can get that benefit. I mean, get that caregiver
The
benefit.
spouse can be the caregiver, or you can actually. There are companies out there that you can hire, but
Right.
then they want a percentage of it.
Right.
So it's whoever is the primary caregiver, whether it's the spouse or whoever.
daughter, anybody
Okay.
that's taking on that role. Now that's a claim as well. We need to make sure people understand that you have to file a claim to get that benefit.
Yeah, you have to file a claim
There are
in.
forms there that's available for people that want. But let me say this too. Before you file a claim, if anybody listen, before you file a claim, talk with a VSO, please, because let me say this. I have seen so many self-filing claims fall to the wayside, and the frustration of the people that's filing them is too much for somebody like me to deal with, because I'm known as a person that straighten up somebody else's stuff. So I mean, just talk to somebody that know what they're doing before you go file the claim.
Well, that's I've learned that, and the people that write claim for me, I mean, that's what when we have our meeting and we have people sign up that want to see the service officers. I mean, the service officers learn that also. So before we even start the meeting, the first announcement, don't go out on your own and start a claim. You see a service officer first. Yeah. Because when I started mine, I did it on my own, and I didn't get nothing. I got a letter of denial. So I would have got me a service officer.
Again, I can say that I got mine on my own.
Well, you learned from it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I did. It was hard.
Yeah.
Again, let me say you're listening to WCEG Talk Radio, your worldwide empowerment community group. This is Veteran Today, and we're providing you a lot of information. We hope that will help you. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, call in at 678-619-1402, and you can follow us on Infinity YouTube at WCEG Radio Live. And go ahead.
Now, I want to also talk about one of the claims I recently gotten, and I hope Marilyn is listening. The VA has a tendency sometimes to do stuff that's unexpected to you, that probably change the nature of your benefits. When they start talking about a supplementary statement of the case, that means that the VA has added something in your records that weren't there when they issued the statement of the case coming out of the denial process when you're going from the regional office to the Board of Veteran Appeals. They can change the whole nature of your claim. So it's critical. They only give you 30 days to respond to this kind of stuff. It's critical that you get with your service representative or a VSO as soon as you get the letter, because sometimes it takes them a while to research your case to make sure that they are putting stuff in your records that need to be there. You know, not just writing a letter telling them about how you see it, but the VA be asking for specific things, and sometimes that requires instant response. If you only have 30 days, you might miss your claim.
And I got a call about that. This particular person had sent her a letter, and she got the letter. On Friday, and the deadline was like Tuesday. Yeah. So if you had went on the e-benefits, you would have known it. So that's a plug for e-benefits.
That's a plus for e-benefits. And that's why we're trying to make sure that every veteran and dependent is on e-benefits, because it gives you the opportunity to go in there and not just look at your case. You can do a whole lot of stuff on e-benefits. That's the way VA is doing business with you, and it's evolving. It's evolving to the point that at some point, I'm talking about maybe in the next 2 years, next 24 months, you'll be able, and they're doing it in some experimental cases now, you'll be able to have your doctor visit online.
Well, they already do. They've tried that before at one time when they give out something like an iPad or something, mm-hmm. where you can talk to your psychiatrist or your provider, whomever. But it didn't work for a while, but they started it again.
Yeah. Well, they learned some things, mm-hmm. and they tried to.
So they're doing better. Mm-hmm. So they're giving out computers again. I'm not exactly sure on how to go about getting them, but I think you speak to your provider, and then they'll sign you up or put you in a console for a computer. And
let me say this: you said something that was really key to me. If you don't know what you're doing with VA, they got what they call an education center. When you first walk into the building, or you got to go there, Leroy, I know you're listening, and see Leroy Morgan, and you'll get some answers to everything that VA is about to do. Well,
that's true, and as you know, one of my founders, Lewis Jackson.
Yeah.
He tell us it's your job to
get your benefits.
To get your benefits, and part of your job is going out to the VA and getting the information, and also technology-wise, they got a lab out there.
Yeah.
If you not on the information highway, if your skills are not up to date, they'll train you in a couple hours. It may not be what you need to keep going, but you can get started.
Get started right there.
So you got, I'm a country boy, so you got to put some sweat in it. You got to be some sweat equity put into it.
That's right. And one of the things that I've learned over the years with dealing with VA from both sides of the desk, as an employee, I learned that, in order for you to really represent veterans, you got to know your job. Because a lot of people might not think that that's your job the way you do your job. So looking at some of my colleagues out there at VA now, you need to learn your job so you can be a better communicator to the veterans that's coming out there, because you don't know who you about to kill.
That's true, and particularly in the hospital, but also, as I said before, all veteran service officers are not equal.
Not equal,
Right.
So you need to, and Anthony talked about this, basically interview the service officers, sit down with them and tell them, I want to file this claim. This is what I have, and just make sure you're on the same page. If you Dottie mentioned that too. If you thinking one thing and the service officer has already decided another issue, you guys are
not working together.
Not at all.
And one of the things you said something that's important. Interviewing that service officer. That person is not God. They are there to help you. And if you got an attitude that they're not there to help you, then they're really not probably listening to you. So they're not going to fashion your claim in a winning manner. So it's critical that you interview, talk with this person, and make sure that they have a spirit of encouragement. Because, see, I don't expect every client that come to me to know what to file. I listen to them to understand what their issues are, and then we'll discuss how we could fashion their claim. Because I've had people come to me and say, I want to file a claim on Agent Orange. I said, well, you ain't going to win that, because there is no Agent Orange claim you can file. What you can file are conditions that comes from being exposed to Agent Orange.
Right.
And those conditions are not all on the presumptive list. They're not all on the presumptive list. What VA has come up with is a bunch of diseases that's on the presumptive list, and lung cancer is not one of them. But you can still get service connected for lung cancer being exposed to Agent Orange if you can show. Now, this is service nucleus evidence, what we're talking about. If you can show that the etymology of that cancer came from exposure to a chemical, then you're there.
So that's to point out is how much effort you have to put into it in the service officer, but the claim person that filed the claim has to do their work too, as far as getting their medical records and all the documentation that to provide the service officer, so the service officer can really do a good analysis on it.
Well, yeah, I always say when a person comes to me, the first thing I tell them to do, go get your C-file. Your C-file is everything that the VA has ever done with you as a veteran. You'll be surprised what you find in your C-file. You will find your military records. If you have any, they're in your C-file. But also you need to make sure when you get that C-file, get at least the last 90 days of your medical records, because they might not be in your C-file. They only upload the C-file, I think, every 30 days or so. And, the VA backlog with, employees that don't show up and one that show up don't work. You got a backlog. So you need to make sure what you're saying is to get that information to take to that service rep, because if I don't know your case, how can I really represent you?
Well, that's true. And another thing, my service officer has learned that a lot of us, particularly if you get a denial letter, you just put it aside. You don't read it. So, and after you get over the shock or you get over the frustration, sometimes it's too late because the deadline has been passed. Then you go back and look at it, and in the denial letter, it actually gives you a lot of key words that you can use to answer that question.
Well, actually, what you're saying, the denial letter, the rating decision, let's call it what it is. The rating decision tells you exactly what grounds the VA denied your claim on. So they're telling you what you need to do to overcome the denial.
So all you got to do is respond to that.
All you got to do is
find the information.
Just respond to what the VA has said. And usually, the major two things that I found that most of us get denied on. We fail to get a diagnosis of the condition that we're claiming as a disability. And the other issue is we don't get the service nucleus evidence to support the claim. Now, what is service nucleus evidence? Compensation stems from what happened to you in service or what happened to you as a result of your service. That's the nucleus evidence. You have to go show them. If you're claiming, say, prostate cancer, for example, where did prostate cancer come from in your service experience? Were you diagnosed with the prostate cancer while you was in service? We don't think so. It came from, in our case, and in the case of those individuals that served at Camp Lejeune, the VA has already said that it comes from those chemicals that we was being exposed to. You have to show that you was in a place where the chemical was and that you was exposed. That's your service nucleus evidence.
And one other thing I was going to actually, when you're dealing with your records and all of your treatment is not at VA. For example, some of mine is at Piedmont. And when I requested my records from Piedmont, it sent them to the VA in part. So it's a hassle to get Piedmont because I saw different doctors and to get all the records over to the VA.
Well,
so what are your thoughts on that?
Well, they have a release of information that you sign for VA to get that data. Most time every veteran file a claim, they file a release of information to whatever outside provider they have been doing, and VA will get those records from you. But the smart patient asks the doctor that treated them for the records and get them and take them to the VA themselves, and they know they got them. But now let me say this: you don't actually ever have to go to the VA to get service connected. I know a lot of people wonder what this is what service connection is. You can go exclusively to a private doctor. When you file your claim, you use that private doctor's name and records, and that doctor provide the records to VA. But now, being smart, you get a copy of your records from that doctor and provide them, because that doctor might be doing something else when VA asks them for the records, and they might be slow getting them there. But you don't have to ever go to the VA to actually get service connected. I'm one of those people that didn't get service connected. That VA, I had a complete outside doctor. So
it's good information.
So people need to understand. Everybody need to understand that when you earn these benefits, the VA is just a delivery system, but it's not the exclusive system that you need to be dealing with. If you're dealing with an outside doctor, you can afford that outside doctor. You can get all your stuff through the outside doctor. Everything that VA does, your outside doctor can do. And let me say something else while we're on that subject. That the VA is controlled by a set of laws, codes and whatnot, that tells you all of these things that I'm telling you now, that you can actually get an outside doctor to give you an evaluation that offsets the VA doctor's evaluation. And if you get two opposite opinions, two medical opposite opinion on the same thing based on the same records, there's a law called benefit of the doubt doctrine that veteran get the benefit of the doubt. So it's smart if you got an outside doctor, and if you're going to the VA to file a claim, get the doctor to put a letter in for you.
All right, and that document, is it CFR 38 whatever?
Wait, no.
Code of Federal Regulation document.
Yeah. Now, basically, what that amounts to, and the VA will tell you this all the time, you don't have to see a VA doctor to get your claim through. You have to have the medical evidence to get your claim through. Whoever that medical evidence is, you get it. Because what happens now, if you file a claim and you don't have that medical evidence at VA or presented to VA, they will say you don't have any service, you don't have any medical evidence supporting your claim, and you're going to get it denied. So you need to understand that. You got to have that medical evidence. I don't care where it come from. VA want medical evidence. And while we're on that subject, let me say one more thing. When you go to the doctor, please talk about your ailments. You know, I've read records where people go see the doctor for the review. How you doing today, McGee? I'm doing all right, doc. And I don't say nothing else. That's what the doctor write in the folder. Mm-hmm. He's doing all right. We saw him. And the next thing you look up and see is a proposed reduction letter.
Yeah, that happens. I mean, since I've had this organization, I had people come in, and that's really a shocker when you get that proposed reduction letter.
Mm-hmm. Because see what happened, we got a lot of people that are 100%ers. They think that they've arrived. If it's not total and permanent, you're going to have a review every 3 to 5 years. Every claim. I don't care what it is. It could be for a hearing loss at 10%. Every 3 to 5 years, that claim is reviewed by VA to see whether you have improved. They ain't out there trying to see whether have you gotten worse. If they say you've improved, that means you went to the doctor and you weren't telling them that you couldn't hear. You know, you answered every question when the doctor said, well, doctor, he done got better. He ain't talking about the hearing issue. So they put in there, the patient is progressing. Mm-hmm. Propose, that's the language that invites that reduction letter. See, you have to teach them how to manage your claim and protect it. And Lewis say, and grow it. Say, if you want to get an increase, you better go to the doctor.
Well, that's true. In what we've been talking about is a lot of information, unless we have people like you and experienced service officers. Veterans do not know that, and like the first thing a lot of veterans do once they get the claim, if it's 100%. They definitely happy. Sometimes it's less than 100%. Yeah,
they're happy.
They happy. So
yeah, and see, Herman, that's something that we need to talk about too. I've had guys got the 50%, and I look at the records and I feel like, well, the VA should have gave you more than that. Let's go back in there and say, oh no, man, I don't. They'll take that back. Yeah, they cannot take back what is yours. You know, if the medical evidence is there, you know, they got to give you an increase. If the medical evidence is not there, you know, you ain't got to be in the VA. They're gonna look at that doctor's notes every 3 to 5 years. And if you ain't been going to the doctor, or you've been going to the doctor saying, I'm doing all right today, doc, you can look for a proposed reduction letter. Guarantee you that.
That's an education, like say, that's managing the claim and managing the process once you get it in.
Get in the claim process. I know. Listen, I'm a witness. It's hard to go to a VA doctor, but you got to go if you want to keep your stuff in file. You got to go to the appointments. You got to talk with the doctor about the issues that you're suffering with. If you don't talk to the doctor about the issues that you're suffering with, they're gonna put something in your records you ain't gonna like. Well,
that's true. I called the VA yesterday, the audio, because I need to have a hearing disability, so I need to make an appointment. I called one number, they put me on hold. I call another number, the guy answered and put me on hold. Then he transferred me. I mean, it just made my day. But you gotta live with it.
Nothing you can do about it.
Well, it is something we can do about it if we come together. See, we forget that we are a group defined by Congress. Veterans, that's a group. They greet you when you go to the VA as individuals. Become a member of a VSO. Get involved with the VSOs in your community. And when you go and to the VA, make sure that they know that I'm a member of Veterans Helping Veterans. They don't take kindly to you saying that because they know that you got a group of people with you that's capable of helping you through the process. So they begin to look at you as a group.
Well, I mean, you're 100% right.
Mm-hmm.
I have people all the time is that if they are aware that you are a member of, I mean, you have my group is a young group, but you have Vietnam Veterans of America, VFW, all those guys. If they know you're a member, they pay attention to you.
Attention to you.
Because those guys, I mean, their priorities, what they do, they lobby in Washington. You know that.
They lobby in Washington. That's the key. And not only that, they also know if you're a member of that group, we vote in the high 90s. You know, not the low 60s or 70s. Veterans vote in the high 90s. We are that one element in the community that go to the poll religiously. But now, if you're going to the poll and you're not, you know, you go every now and then, you miss, I go this year and I miss next year. Well, that's inconsistent. But when you got these groups that go into the poll religiously, they know that you can change things. And that lobbyists in Washington that we all have, American Legion, Vietnam Veteran America, do you know all of them get together?
So what exactly can we do about the phone systems at the VA? Because they added 2 more digits to extensions, and then you really can't get through.
Well, what we need to be doing is talking to the VSOs that sit on that advisory board, and we need to come up with a better system. Because what we're seeing now, we're getting people come in there changing the VA. They ain't got a clue. They don't have a clue as to what they're doing. We need to come up with a better phone system. You're actually right. And, you know, it used to be a time that the clerks couldn't let the phone ring. You know that.
Right, I remember.
But now, they don't care if they're
Then they started with the phone centers where they had
the call centers.
The call centers where they had the MSAs at the in a little room where they all they did was answer phones.
Answer phone.
Answer phones, but it's saying I don't know what done happened.
We say the problem with that was you got to call a call center, they got to call somebody. So we need to go back to an old system of having phone calls go directly to the clinic.
To the clinic.
Well, see, and really it's a budget issue. Mm-hmm. It's the technology. Mm-hmm. I mean, that technology is ridiculous, and the VA spent a whole lot of money and didn't get nothing.
It got worse.
It then got worse. And we need to come up with a system for VA. And one of the things that I know, VA, when the congressman called, VA listened. Why? Budget.
Exactly.
Right. So we need to understand how we can influence VA. We influence VA by, I didn't really want to go out there to all that stuff that David Scott.
Yeah, we stood in line for an hour.
But I know when I saw him.
But it was cool.
And talked with him about the issue that was on our mind.
He listened.
He listened. And not only told me, he just stopped me. He said, listen, that's a good issue, but we're going to do this big. Because it's a big issue.
Yes.
Go on around there, make sure you got the VA. I said, well, I'm on with the VA, Congressman. I said, I just needed to make sure that you was on deck.
And then he told his representative to make sure you get with Mr. McGee and we get this thing done.
Well, what you said is important. They know we vote.
They know we vote.
They know we gonna vote.
They know we vote. So he listened.
And he want to make sure that
He don't want me going back to Vietnam Veteran America and say I didn't get David Scott's attention.
Exactly.
So we got to do that, and it's sad that we won't show up at our meetings. You know, I'm talking to my members now.
Yeah.
We don't want to come to the meetings
Or the rallies.
Or the rallies, we get busy. It's for you. It's for your benefit. It ain't. We ain't just doing that for. But I don't like going to the meetings. But I'm sitting up in a meeting and I ain't got 10% of my membership there. So they comfortable. They can't get comfortable with the VA, especially with this administration.
Well, that's our political clout is asset that we don't use because they will pay attention. But the next issue is, because I have my group, okay, you want to have access to Mike Glenn. I can get you access. Mm-hmm. But what plan do you have? What you want to tell him?
Yeah, what you going to talk to him about?
I mean, you just want to introduce yourself and tell him how great you are. I'm not.
See, I'm gonna tell you something. You're right, because we didn't listen. They was pushing people around to talk with the congressman, right? When I told them who I was and what I was, they pushed me up there to him. And when I started talking about suicide, he grabbed my hands. He said, "That's a big issue. We're gonna do it big." I said, "I'm just trying to get you on board, Congressman." So what we need to make sure, it should have been 1,000 people out there. I don't want them in front of me like that no more. I mean, it was thousands out there. It was a lot of
It was thousands.
It was thousands of people out there because this congressman works for the community.
What we got to get our people to understand, in my group, in veteran group, some of the other ones are really better at it, is if you want access to them, then you got to have, you got to put some meat on the bones. You just don't want to go there and talk about your family or
yeah.
the weather or sports or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, you need to be able to tell the person what's on your mind, how they can help you.
See, that's what I like about your group. You have this personal dialogue with the members, and I think that's missing in a lot of the groups. I try to do that. I try to make sure I'm having a personal dialogue. I'm not just reporting on what I've done for the month and talking about this, that, a lot of voting, a lot of parliamentary procedures that people be sitting back there and they don't ever get a chance to say anything. So they feel like they're not there. They're not being considered. They're just listening to what you're saying, and you might be able to give them a few minutes after the meeting. But I seen you have people hold up their hands and they be called out of the meeting. when they service officer ready for them, they come out there and get them.
Right.
We got to make sure that people understand that we care about them, and that's what you do in your group.
I tried to emphasize. I can get you access to David Scott. I can get somebody from his office to come to the meeting. Mm-hmm. I can actually get Mike Glenn and
Mike Roby, all these folks,
all these people to come to the meeting. But if I have these people come, I'm not going to have them present for a half hour, then leave. I mean, you need to ask them some valid questions on what your needs are and how they can help you.
And I want to reemphasize how important it is that we understand how much our vote count. I didn't call the governor office to be down there to be presented to.
I didn't either.
See, they call us. We need to understand. Our members need to understand how important that is. They wanted to show. They wanted to put on a show to show people what they're doing for veterans. So they knew who we were. They know what we do in the community. But like you saying, we don't want to have these people come to a meeting or to a presentation and you don't come out there and put your case on in front of them. You come out there smiling and so that's the point I made, because I know you didn't have no desire to be down there under the Georgia Dome, neither did I, but we went because of the cause.
Exactly. I mean, it's because we are committed in like you say, we want to make sure the governor and Mike Roby and all those guys know that we are there.
That we are there.
Absolutely.
And the thing about it, we've been there for a while, so they knew who to call. So they watching us.
They are.
they watching us. So if they hadn't been watching us, Herman, they wouldn't have called. They had 1,000 other people they could have called. But they know that we are representing a community of veterans, and they voting. They don't know that they all scattered everywhere. They don't come to no meetings.
When they go down.
but they know that we are out organizing them too. See,
Right.
the point is, we was out there the day at Congressman Scott's annual job fair, and we was able to pick up some sponsors.
Yeah.
They come. I told them, stepped up to them. I ain't looking for no job. I'm looking for a sponsor. So the minute I told them I was a veteran service organization, let me have your stuff. I'm gonna take this back to my headquarters. We need to understand our value in the community.
And what you said is key, sponsors, because let me see how I can say it nicely. Because the people we serve
Don't help.
is resources are not what they should be. But those sponsors, I mean, they got money in their budget. We just got to figure out how to get it.
Yeah. And a lot of them, one of the guys told me from Regional Bank, told me, well, we do outreach for veterans, so let me have your stuff. I'll make sure I get it to the customer service officer who to take care of our community outreach. I mean, that I didn't have to sit down and wait in the bank. I was in an event that David Scott put on to bring all these resources, these jobs to the community. I just tell him, I ain't looking for no job now. I ain't looking for no job. One guy went all out and started telling me how young I was and all that.
He did.
I said, wait a minute. Yes, okay.
It's like, you a 20-year-old Vietnam veteran. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Just get us some of that money that we need to help these veterans with.
So the project in Atlanta, the veterans,
Sons of Atlanta.
yes, where we're on that.
Ooh, man, I'm glad you asked that. Marvin Arrington Jr., thank you. Michael Julian Bonds, thank you. We got two people that's helping us do the Sons of Atlanta memorial. We got Michael Julian Bond to help us get the land. Right now, we are in conversation for 2 acres on Piedmont Park. They want us to build the Sons of Atlanta in Piedmont Park, so that's kind of exciting. The other exciting part was we met with Marvin Arrington Jr. and I worked in this campaign, so he know me. You know, we got to get out there and do something. Like you say, you got to put some sweat equity in some of this stuff. You're building relationships. He's putting us in the budget for $500,000 in 2020. That's Fulton County budget. Now, he said that he's going to be challenging Atlanta to match this budget for this project. It's been so much excitement, Herman, about the Sons of Atlanta. Now,
That's great.
Well, let me tell you what Marvin Arrington Jr. did. He made us. We have a meeting we have a phone conference every.
We have a phone conference every Sunday at 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock. Now, he suggested that, okay, the Sons of Atlanta. He said, I got all these cities in Fulton County that might have some sons that died in Vietnam. And he said, well, I need you to do this for me. Think about adding those cities to the Sons of Atlanta. I went back to the website, and I discovered they got 40 more names to add on. Do you know most of them come out of East Point?
That's unbelievable.
Out of Hatesville, College Park, and East Point. So the Sons of Atlanta, that's one reason I didn't put out any flyers on it today, because I'm changing the flyer to add these 40 more names. So now we got the Sons of Atlanta that's covering Fulton County. And we are at the point where that Fulton County is about to give us a building to operate out of. They're going to transfer. So when we start talking about the Sons of Atlanta, I'm so excited because, you know, it's bad to die in war, but it's worse to be forgotten that you died in war.
Right. So it's actually going to be the city of Atlanta and Fulton County.
Yes. Yes. So I'm so excited about that project, and we're working. They got me working now. They got me working. But yeah, the Sons of Atlanta project is progressing to the point that we will be putting out some bumper stickers soon. We'll be putting out some T-shirts and hats and all of the stuff that go along with having a campaign where we're about to build a wall. And now let me say this here too. One of the most exciting other parts about it, like my vision for the wall has been adopted by the task force that I set up. And it's going to be a replicate of the National Wall. It's going to be a replicate of the National Wall. So it's not going to be one of them little plaques that you're sticking. It's going to be a whole big wall where you can come up and you can touch the names, where you can make prints of the names, where you can leave flowers. And, you know, this is a Georgia thing now. So we're excited about the Sons of Atlanta. It's really taken off. So, yeah. So now we're looking at getting sponsoring community partners. That's the next step that we want to do with the wall. Sponsoring community partners will be, no, it's not sponsoring community partners. Sponsoring partners will be VSOs. This is about veterans. And what the T-shirt would look like, it will have all these names on the back and the logos of all the sponsoring partners on the front. And all the sponsoring partners will be, well, we're making history. Now, we got to think about this. This wall will be here hundreds of years after we're gone. And the sponsoring partners, their logos will be on the T-shirts, and all their names will be on the plaque that set up the wall. That's powerful. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. So we're reaching out. I hope the VSOs are listening. I'll be talking more with you guys at the next VSO board meeting. But I want to say American Legion, DAV, Wounded Warriors, Veterans Helping Veterans, it's time for us to come on together. Let's get this done.
Walk of Veterans. The Walk of Veterans also.
Say that again.
The Walk of Veterans.
The Walk of Veterans.
No, Walk of Heroes. I'm sorry.
Walk of Heroes.
Yes.
So we need all these veteran groups to come together. Let's do this wall now, because it's going to be in Piedmont Park. I want everybody's name on it. This is history. You know, we'll be gone when the wall is still standing. So I need you guys to come on up. Right now, we need money, seed money to get the T-shirts and the hats made, and the bumper stickers and the flyers that we're gonna put out. We got work to do. We're doing work now. Right now, we're having I don't like driving to meetings. We have a phone conference every Sunday. Now, what we'll be talking about this Sunday is the sponsoring partners, because we want to be able to meet with the sponsoring partners and, you know, update them on what we're doing and get them involved with the process now, because see, we're going public. We're about to go public, so we need to have a meeting with the sponsoring partners that are going to become on the sponsor. Now, just because you don't become a sponsor, what we plan to do, we're planning to making sure that we're doing this documentary, that the sponsoring partners can have a hand in helping make the documentaries. We already got an outline. We already got a company that's giving us a price for the documentary. But it's a lot of work to be done. So the sponsoring partners will also become workers with the Sons of Atlanta Task Force. So yeah, thank you, Herman.
This is a huge project. This is big time. So that's what we want to do.
Actually, the budget is $10 million. That's for the wall to get the whole thing done. And we're so excited about it that we know that we're going to be able to. I didn't get a chance to talk with Delta today, but we're looking for Delta to come in as one of our sponsoring community partners. So with a nice check. So we're looking to get this off the ground. It's off the ground.
It's in the planning stage, right?
It's in the planning stage now.
Again, you listen to WCEG Network, WCEG Talk Radio, your community-wide empowerment group. I think we provide you a lot of good information today regarding veteran claims benefit, to dealing with mental issues, homeless, and we current events and political events. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Call in at 678-619-1402. And you can also watch us on YouTube at WCEG Network. Give us a call and join the conversation.
And I'd like to also add, people need to come to your meetings more. And my meeting's only once a month. You have more than one.
We meet twice a month, and we meet at 6 p.m. And our meeting location is the old Riverdale City Hall at 6 p.m.
And my meetings are held every first Saturday of the month at Adamsville Recreation Center at 3201 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, Southwest Atlanta, 30311. We start at 1 o'clock and we are out of there by 3. And we have we take claims requests. We also take other kind of requests. We know that sometimes veterans are going through all kind of issues, and what we come up with is some pretty interesting things. We were able to get Home Depot to give one veteran I know over $50,000 worth of materials to rehab his house. Now, what this program does is it requires that we volunteer to do the work. So we know we got a lot of veterans out there that got problems with their homes that can't afford to get them fixed. So we need to understand that there are resources in the community that can help you.
And let me, my phone number for my organization is 404-996-3790. This is a voice message. Leave a message and we will definitely call you back. And let me add to what Reverend McGee said. I have one veteran that has not in 1 year, but through the years has got Habitat for Humanity to spend about $40,000 on. This is a lady, and she also has been able to get the bank to give her credit for a certain amount of dollars, a large sum of money. So I would say this one person has gotten over $100,000 worth of work dealing with Habitat for Humanity and with I think it's BB&T Bank.
Yeah.
And coming up this Thursday, April the 18th, I have a representative from Meals on Wheels that will be there. They're working on someone's house in my organization now. Not only do they do Meals on Wheels, but they also do repairs up to $25,000.
Mm-hmm. And we need to make sure that when you're attending these meetings, if you don't have if your question is not answered, just don't sit in there and get up and leave. Talk to the president, talk to the chairman, talk to people that direct the organization, and I guarantee you, you'll come out of these meetings with some benefits.
You will. I mean, in my meeting, talk to me, talk to my vice president, and like I say, we have a website. We also have the phone call that I just gave you. We will answer it. We will get back with you. So.
And let me say, Herman organization and my organization are partners, so we always doing things together. If you can't reach him, you can reach me. If you can't reach me, you can reach him.
Yeah, we'll somebody in our organization. We'll get you some help. And let's go to the claim clinic that we're working on again.
Now, the claim clinic is every first Monday of the month, and it's at my church. So we got parking there. And it's pretty exciting because you can come into the clinic. Now, we'll be certifying at least 5 service officers this year, but you can come into the clinic and get help on your case immediately. Now, one of the things that I've been able to do over the years is build relationships in places where they matter. I have a relationship with the Benefits Administration where I can kind of curve through some of the red tape. If you got an issue, now this is an issue that normally don't fall into the claim process itself. I might be able to get that turned around for you within a matter of weeks rather than months, especially when it's dealing with fiduciary that's unjustifiable, or it's dealing with a reduction that was illegal. You know, we can probably get it restored in the next couple of weeks. You don't have to go through all of that process, but you need to come to meetings
Well, that is important because if you got a reduction and you are stressed out, I know you want some help as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard for people to understand how the VA operate. That, you know, I've had people got the reduction, and they tell me, how can they do this? And when I started explaining to them, they kind of melt down because it's all your stuff. It's the way you communicate with the VA about your conditions. And that's what I was saying. When you go to see your doctor, don't just go in there when they ask you how you doing. I'm doing all right today, doc. How you doing? You're not there to do that. You're there to talk about the issues that you have as a disability. And if you don't talk about what is going on, now I'm a PTSD victim. I don't sleep. When I go to my doctor, I'm telling him, Doc, I don't sleep. You know, what you gonna do about that? I done been in all kind of sleep studies and sleep therapists, but that goes into my records. It shows that I'm still having issues with my disability. You know, if you got paranoid issues, well, doc, I got a problem with you. You said too close to me. You know, you have to talk about the issues that you are medically at the VA for.
Well, that's true. And another point is, if you have a benefit, where it's 100% or 50%, and you just kind of don't go to the, you mentioned earlier going to the VA doctor. If you don't go to the doctor, you're going to hear from them.
You're going to hear from them, yeah. See, and the thing about it, when you got a benefit, I got 50%, I got, you know, where you got it to the VA decide that you don't need it no more. And they decide you don't need it by the way you keep your appointments. You don't show up at the doctor for 2 or 3 years, and you think that your 50% gonna stay. I don't think so. You're gonna get a proposed reduction letter. They feel like they're gonna evaluate every 3 to 5 years. Every 3 to 5 years. I don't care what you got, 10% or 100%, unless it's total and permanent.
So you need to go to the VA doctor?
No. You go to a doctor that's treating your conditions.
Okay.
Now,
and then how would the VA know you're going to a outside doctor?
You tell the VA you're going to the outside. It's your responsibility to make sure that if you're going to an outside doctor,
so who would you tell?
You would tell the what I did with mine. I took my records to the VA.
Okay.
See, when I had the surgery at Piedmont.
So you take it to the where at the VA do you take
the medical records? They were
to medical records and have them put it in your medical records.
Put it in, it becomes a part of your medical records.
Okay.
Or if you're in a claim process and that claim is rolling, take it to the Hill because it take 90 days to get it from.
So I called the emergency room like a couple of months back, so I should have took my paperwork to the VA.
To the VA.
Oh.
Make sure it's to the VA. See, because what happens when they're reviewing your records for that reduction letter, they ain't been to the doctor.
Right.
They're pretty good.
Okay.
Or they went to the doctor and the doctor say they doing pretty good. You know? So you got the basis for a reduction. Now the only way you're gonna overcome that reduction, if you ain't got nothing in the record, you better have some outside doctor medical records to put in the records because they're gonna reduce you.
Well, that's true. While we were talking about this, what was it, about 2 years ago they came out with DBQs?
I love them.
You do?
I love them. You know why? It directs the doctor's attention to your issues. You know, I know a lot of doctors don't like filling them out, but when I'm filing the claim, initial claim, I fill one out for the doctor. You know, because I love the way, I'm going to just say this. I started filing claims in 1975. It was an antiquated system. We were getting less than $600 a month for 100% of it back then. The system was antiquated. Now it has become very technology bent, and some of the technology ain't worth a dime. But at the same time, that's the way VA is doing business with you. You have to make sure that your information is in the files, that the VA gonna review your claim. See, if it's not in the file, they're gonna say you ain't got no medical evidence to support your claim.
Right.
So it's let me talk about Lewis. Lewis said it was your job, and he said, look, he telling people that it was their job to get their benefit. He said, if you want some help, this man right here gonna help you.
That was Lewis. All he was gonna do was talk. I mean, not talk. Someone said no. He could sell ice to Eskimos, and I went to college with him, and he can sell with anybody.
Yeah, but Lewis was an advocate. And a person that cared about veterans and their benefits, and he would, everywhere he went, if he met a veteran, he gonna ask him, "You getting your benefits?" We need preachers that be doing that, and can encourage these guys to stay with the fight.
Let me ask you one thing else about DBQ, the process. Say I feel worn out and fax or send it to my doctor. Is that a good process?
You can take it to your doctor, you can send it to your doctor. But 9 out of 10 times, if you got a VA doctor, he might not want to deal with that DBQ until the VA tell him to. And that's kind of dangerous to say, because what happens when you file a claim, you're filing a claim on the 526, right? You filing it through e-benefits. They don't ask you for that DBQ. It's not a request. The only time they're concerned with the DBQ is that you are going to a QTC or what they call CMP. That's the only time they're really concerned with that, because that's where they get the medical evidence for the claim from. It's very rare. What they say about the QTC or the comprehensive exam is that you're not going down until you done pass all the other hurdles to the claim. See, when you first file a claim, they got to go through the whole investigative process. They're not going to order the medical exam until they can say that your claim is well grounded. They don't use that language anymore, but it's the same. They used to say that you ain't filed a well grounded claim. But they took that language out, but the action is still the same. If you don't file a well-grounded claim, you will never get to a medical.
My thought, what I'm thinking about on DBQ, I want to have my doctor fill it out and send it to the VA. I still got an open claim. Okay. To make it part of my record.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you can, if you got a private doctor, you can do that. Okay. And you can send it to the VA, or you can upload it in your own system through the e-benefits.
E-benefits. That'll work.
That's why I like the e-benefits, man. You don't have to go nowhere. You just sit right there on your computer and do it. And I'm trying to teach my clients to do this, and it's getting hard.
Well, see, that's to me that's what make the system a little bit easy to navigate. Because what you just told me is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to have him fill it out. I know I can get him to fill it out and just upload it, and it's there.
Yeah, and it's in your records. Or you can, they got a fax sheet that you can fax it in, that centralized intake station.
In Wisconsin.
Yeah. So, that's the old system. The new system, just upload it through your e-benefits and get it over with. Exactly. I love that e-benefit system. Even though I think I got some problems now. Don't think that I'm just blessing the system. I'm blessing the system, but the operations of the system needs some. Got a long way to go.
Well, I haven't kept up my computer skills, but that's what I did for a living. I worked for AT&T for about 36 years. Then after I retired, I kind of forgot about it. I get in trouble sometimes because my wife asks me, "What about this?" I say, "I don't know." but that's the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Also, Mike Glenn is a veteran. He's in the state legislature, and Mike has been on his program, and he communicates with me on a regular basis. He just sent me his latest newsletter and gave me a list of the bills that were passed and things of that nature. So that's one of the representative, and another one is Senator Burnoff that communicate with us, and we have quite a few state senators and representatives that we have, like Reverend McGee say, we have relationship with, and we want to keep that going.
Yes, and it's key to make sure that your senator know you, or your congressman know you, or your state representative know you, and even your city council person. Because see, let me say this to you: if they write a letter in support of your claim, it gives weight. It gives weight, and I've had representatives write letters in support of people's claims. I've actually had one representative that got records, military records. Now this is amazing. This guy was separated from the military in 1969 and sought his military records all of those years, and the VA kept telling them that they didn't have them. I got a congressman to write the VA, and they came up with his records after 40-some years. The VA had his records, and the congressman got them. We couldn't get them.
Well, see, that's like this one guy that I talked to this morning. I'm gonna call back. Is sometime you recommend that that they escalate and go see their congressman, and so that's I'm gonna have a further conversation with this person. But if you like to say whether it's in this case, I think he probably should go see either John Iverson, or he's out in Cobb County. The representative out there, that the congressman out there is
Hank Johnson.
Hank Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, we talked with David Scott today about the suicide conference, and we're going to have a meeting with Hank Johnson's office to talk about it, and a meeting with John Lewis, because as David Scott pointed out, he said, we don't want to do this. We don't want to just do this. He said, this got to be big. This got to have an impact. This got to make a difference. And he was overwhelmingly in support of it, because, every day now, 22 suicides of veterans are registered. And as veterans, we can't just sit back and be quiet about this, because some of these guys that commit suicide, we know them.
Well, that's true. And that's a key point. And, as you know, they say you need to pick your fights. Mm-hmm. So, and always was, you need to have 3, no more than 4 top priority things you want to work with at one time. Mm-hmm. So, and do it as a combined group. In this situation, like what we're talking about with Hank Johnson and Scott and John Lewis, that's we have a group of veterans that focus, and we can get their attention.
Mm-hmm. Because see, we can't do this alone. This is something bigger than us, because we know each other well enough to know that one of the hardest things for us to do is talk about pain, to talk about the hurt that we're going through. And, mental hurt is what causes suicides. People feeling rejected, feeling unworthy, and, left alone, are given to suicides. So we have to make a better culture, a better community for people. And this is not just, it's about veterans, but it's not just for veterans. It's
not at all.
It's for the community.
It's for everybody. And it's like say it's about veterans, but the population as a whole has the same issue.
Had the same issue. Suicides are up in this country.
And I think one thing that we need to just encourage veterans is get involved in a support group. Like there are some around town. There are some vet centers, and that I understand from. There's one in Marietta near me, and I go by it from time to time and talk to the guy that run it, and he tell me they have a real good support group. Mm-hmm.
And they have them also at the VA. I'm a member of a couple of peer groups and other support groups at the VA. So.
I mean, that's really important because a lot of time when you get a bunch of veterans together, we kind of relax and start talking because we all know the language or whatever. You feel more comfortable.
And especially when you're feeling like you're alone. And when I was going through basic PTSD therapy, that was always a concern when we start isolating, when we start being alone. And we learned that through that experience to make sure that veterans have at least one person they can call at all times. That they can call at least one person. It would be good if we could have more than one person that care enough about you. And the peer group concept that the VA is working has a lot of potential. I think we should encourage it to grow and to become that peer in the community for at-risk veterans, and every veteran is at risk.
And it's not like the peer group is not like going to a counseling session.
Yeah,
it's like we talk about our issues, and we don't try to we try to get to the root of the issues. We try to get to the root of why you want to isolate, why you don't want to talk to anybody, why you don't feel comfortable around people. Let's try to work at getting through this and making your life better. So,
and one of the things that come out of those peer groups, they will refer you to your psychiatrist. They will help you go to your psychiatrist. In some cases we need to have the peer group go to psychiatrists with people, because a lot of times when people are in deep distress, that's when they feel most alone and unworthy of anything. And we don't want people to get to that point to where they can't move. They isolate to the point that they start ruminating on suicides.
Well, that's true. And we are talking about veterans, but it happens to the general population also. And
we're just blessed that we have a place to go.
Well, that's true. In mental health, period, is no, that's a budget issue. Our government, whether it's state or federal, does not want to put enough resources into mental health to deal with the issue.
And what they do, ironically, I heard the director say this: they had more money for homeless veterans than they did any other group of care. See, so that money is going out to people to keep people homeless. We need to think about that. That's really devastating.
It really is devastating. And the question is, being kind of cynical, what people is it going to?
Yeah, it's going to people that are waiting on that income. It's a business.
It is. That's exactly where I was going with this.
It's a business.
It's a business.
It's a business.
And one other thing, we're running out of time. The situation at the VA as far as the director. Oh, you know what's going on with that?
Now, at the last meeting last month, the BSO meeting, we had an acting director over the medical and acting director over the benefits. Actually, the acting director of benefits, we just talked to him. He was at David Scott's annual job fair. I have a real concern with the way this is going, and because these actors don't have the authority to do anything but pass on information that's coming down from Washington. And everything that's coming down from Washington right now is business lace. It's all about the bottom line. It's not really about concern for the veteran or for what we're going through. So we need to have a conversation. I think national. Why do we have so many acting people in our government now? We got a acting Homeland Security director. We got my concern is this is what Hitler did when he was taking over Germany.
Yeah,
he put all of his loyalties in the departments of government and took out the career type people that was there. And anything Germany no longer had a democracy. You know, they had a dictatorship who was called Adolf Hitler. And I'm concerned with our country right now, with the way that this president, who has not chosen to be a president of all the people, he has a base.
Yeah,
and that disturbs me because I didn't serve. I didn't go to Vietnam to fight for that. You know, and like the question keep coming up in my mind. John McCain had a closer connection to this president than I do. Why did he didn't want the man at his funeral? That's a statement that we should always ponder when we're looking at the policies and the activities of this government, because John McCain and this president still has no respect for veterans, because if he did, he wouldn't have the attacks on John McCain that he still have.
He's still going, yeah.
Veterans and gold families.
Yeah, and gold families. This man has no respect for our services, so we need to be concerned about our democracy.
That leads to the election that's coming up.
The election that's coming up. And we should look at this. If the Senate had a better leadership, we could have the balance of power that the Constitution called for. But we have seen this senator, this controller in the Senate, not even let bills go to vote. This was the same senator that would not allow Barack to appoint judges.
Exactly. But
now he's allowing appointment of judges that haven't had any experience. Why? Why are we doing this way? We need to be concerned about our democracy right now, and we need to make sure that every veteran that you know and every family member, every veteran that we know, make sure we go to the poll, not just in 2020, but in 2019 on these state levels.
Right.
Because a lot of the things that this guy is dependent on, you have 26 states that are considered to be red states, and they are in sync with this president. If you look at his want to build a wall campaign, the people that support want him building a wall are not even on the Mexican borders. The people down there ain't got no fears of immigrants coming into this country.
Right.
So we need to be concerned about our democracy. We need to make sure that we getting our family, our friends, our cousins, everybody out to vote, and make sure that we vote these senators out. You know, we need Stacey, I hope you listen to me, that you need to be coming back here and running for one of them Senate offices that's going to be coming up for election in 2020. We need some new senators. You know, we got a new House, but the House is, you know, this man has used the Senate to stop the House from doing anything.
He has, and that's when you go through that, and the people in the Senate that are stopping the House are people that been there, and a lot of them was there when President Obama was there, and
they didn't let him do nothing.
Not a thing.
Nothing.
So we need to be concerned with our democracy, and that means we need to be concerned with getting out to vote. See,
exactly.
In this state election right now, what happened in that state election, we needed 54,000 votes to win the governorship. The current governor had purged over 1 million potential voters.
That's true. We're not going to go back and correct it. So basically, they got away with it.
They got away with it. Mm-hmm. But then we still got the power of vote. We still got that. If we don't start using it, we're going to lose it too.
Well, we need to use it, and we need to be more diligent in make sure as possible that what happened with this current situation
2016
don't happen again.
Yeah.
So
we're in danger of that happening again. And let me say this: they seem to be too confident that they don't have to answer to anybody.
Right, they are. They kind of feel like they're in charge, and no, I mean it's no secret. You know, everybody's talking about white privilege, and they feel like they have it.
They have it, and right now they are making moves with appointing these judges. See, The Congress the House want to go sue him, but the way he's stacking the courts, and we look at the Attorney General that he put in place. He put a protector in place.
Exactly.
He didn't put an Attorney General in place. He appointed somebody he knew was on his team.
That was going to protect him.
So we're in a crisis situation about the vote. See, Malcolm put it best. It's going to either be the bullet or the ballot.
That is true. So we have had a great show. We've covered a lot of stuff and a lot of emotional stuff. We hope we empowered you, and we hope you got some information that will help you. And we'll be back again next Friday with Veterans Today. And as we get ready to close out, we wish you a good Friday, and come back next week and join us. We have a lot more good information, a lot more activity that we're dealing with. So with that, Veterans Today, have a good afternoon.